I don't know how to explain. Your mind seems to wander, and then it comes back. And it's about the same thing. May you more or less slow it. That's all I can say, really.
What's your first name and last name?
Oh my gosh.
It was various. Because I have Alzheimer's.
What was I talking about? I forgot.
The struggle with Alzheimer's and dementia is never easy. In fact, it only gets worse. Do you imagine not being able to remember the simple things like your name? Well, it can be very frustrating and can sometimes lead to discomfort, agitation, and aggression. Facilities are unable to cope with the challenges and physical demands and are often turning to antipsychotics. We spoke to Dr. George Heckman from the Department of Health Studies and Gerontology at the University of Waterloo, Christy Clark, Director of Nursing Care at the Village of Glendale Crossing, and naturopathic Dr. Michael Reed to discuss the issue of antipsychotics and their purpose.
Antipsychotics are a class of drugs that were initially developed for treating schizophrenia. And what they do is they act on the symptoms of schizophrenia that relate to psychosis, which basically means seeing things, hearing things, imagining things that aren't real. And they have been used in people with dementia because a lot of patients with dementia at some point may experience psychotic symptoms. They may hallucinate, they may be paranoid, they may become aggressive as well.
I think what happens in a lot of facilities is that they put them on it and then they stay on it forever. And that's really not our goal or purpose here. Some of our challenges are family members want them on the medication because they've seen it work in acute care, they know at home it helps control their behaviors, and they don't want to see their family members agitated or suffering in any way. It's just working with the family, having the family member as part of the team and educating them as to why it's important for them not to stay on it. That helps.
Lots of family members come in who I treat, and they talk about family members who are in homes and they're getting put on antipsychotics, and typically they're not getting the responses with those antipsychotics they're looking for, or they're getting lots of side effects with even behavior that's worsening.
In older folks, they do have side effects, and dopamine is the chemical that's related to movement. And when we give people antipsychotics, sometimes in excessive doses, they can start looking like they've got Parkinson's. And that's a major problem in terms of trouble with swallowing and getting pneumonia, or trouble walking and falls and things like that.
A lot of geriatric education is missing. Like, it's not part of any nursing program unless the person takes it as an elective. So how are they going to know really such a specific class of medication? Really what the benefits of and the pros and cons of being on it, and why we should be motivated to take them off. And same with physicians. Like in med school, it doesn't have to be part of the curriculum. It's optional if you want to learn about geriatrics, and yet 80% of our healthcare users are over the age of 65, right? So it's kind of, it's going to change. It's one of my, if I could wave my magic wand and have 3 wishes, that would certainly be one of them for geriatrics. And I think our biggest issue with the use of these types of medications is falls. You see people who are started on them, and like about 3 days later, they're falling on a daily basis. People with frontal lobe dementia, which is a very specific part of the brain that's affected, or Pick's disease, they have the reverse reaction to antipsychotics. So you put them on an antipsychotic because they're agitated, and their agitation increases. And then they start becoming violent. It's that the nurse should be advocating at the time that it's being ordered, right, as part of an interdisciplinary team, that maybe this isn't the best approach, and there's something else that we can be doing to help them.
The other thing I do is also evaluate and look at their diet and nutrition status, because it has been conclusively shown that Mediterranean type diet, where you're using fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and using oils with olive oil, fish oils, make a big difference in terms of prevention and slowing the onset of Alzheimer's disease. We use other things in terms of an IV, looking at using higher levels of B vitamins such as B12, looking at antioxidants that can support the body, such as glutathione, and looking at injections even with phospholipids, such as a glycerylphosphocholene, which helps support choline and acetylcholine within the brain, and helps more or less the neurological function better. So it can be anything given intravenously through a vein or an injection into a muscle. And the advantage of it is it gets 100% absorption that way. Conclusively, I've seen that when you are combining the drugs with the natural therapies, no matter what stage of disease the illness is in, people have much better improvements and function a lot better overall.
One of the key things is to get these folks to do something so that they're bored. Sometimes the environment is such that they're completely bored out of their minds, and you know, we wake up in the morning and our brains are wired for us to do stuff, and if there's nothing to do, we feel agitated, we get restless, and we get cranky. So part of the issue is to get these people some sort of physical activity, give them things to do, games to play, you know, keep them busy. And I think that's the key challenge.
Hi, so today we're doing our Diva Club, which is a club that's exclusively for our ladies here at Glendale. And we today are making umbrella art. So we're decorating these umbrellas with lots of fun spring stuff. The residents enjoy coming and doing crafts, and also, you know, it gives you a sense of pride, right? When you see your artwork displayed and everyone can come and look at it.
The staff participates with them in the therapy, that they get to know the person on a more human level, and so they treat them more as real people. Physical activity, adult day programs, there's lots of programs out there for patients with dementia. It gets them somewhere where they can get stimulation, they play games, they can socialize, they can get some sort of physical activity. We know that physical activity is good because they get their energy burned off and they come home and they sleep better. Socialization doesn't have any side effects, and physical activity by and large doesn't have side effects. This is very good stuff for them.
I used to call them little words of wisdom. And then I started writing poetry, and everybody said how much they liked them. I wrote one for the Memorial Day, and just a few people had died, and Jerry and Tom and I forget that Edna had died from our neighborhood. So I wrote a poem for them. Here on earth we still struggle to understand God and to do His will. Smile, and when we come to join you, say hello and welcome us. We bid farewell, our friends, and know you are happy and held in the loving presence which transforms us all.